Hello, hello, hello. How are you? Thank you so much for tuning in. Today, I'm going to talk all about mama guilt and basically why it is a wasted emotion and more importantly, how we can flip it around, okay? So, for those of you that are new to me, hi, my name is Brooke-Sidney. I am the founder of a company called Bella and the Babe, which is all about creating authentic and mindful mothering. And I'm also the creator of the Mama Love Planner, this awesome planner that I have available in weekly and daily versions. And it is all about helping mamas make more time for self-care. So it's really, really helpful for that. It's also a gratitude journal in one. It helps us celebrate mama wins. And it's a place for us to really, on a monthly and a daily and a weekly basis, figure out our self-care goals. It's a way for us to ensure that we are loving on ourselves and spending time on ourselves. So, for those of you that have been following me on Facebook, and for some reason, you guys, my Facebook is not working today. So, I decided I'm going to jump on anyway. I'm going to hop on Instagram. I'm going to hop on Periscope because we are making it happen. And you know what? I scheduled this time to talk about self-care. I scheduled it, so we're doing it. So anyway, we are talking today about why mama guilt, which is the most common complaint that I hear from mamas and busy women about why they don't spend more time performing self-care. And so basically what I want to do is I want to talk about why guilt is a wasted emotion, and thank you so much for those that are joining, and how we can flip it, how we can really make ourselves and our time and any feelings of mama guilt work to our advantage, right? How we can make it better. So first of all, the reason why I say that mama guilt is a wasted emotion is because guilt is a wasted emotion. Guilt is an emotion in which whatever experience that we're having, good or bad, usually it's bad, is we are judging ourselves for it. We are sitting around wishing we didn't have that feeling, feeling bad for feeling a certain way, right? It's like a loop. It's like a simple loop. And although I can sit here and I can say, don't judge yourself or don't attach to the feelings, because we're always going to have feelings, that's really difficult to do. So what I'd rather say, and what I feel is more helpful, is for us to say, it's fine. It's fine that if you feel guilty. It's okay that in the moment you might feel mama guilt. So, for example, let's say that, there's a part of you that knows that you need to spend some time taking care of yourself. You're run down, you're maybe acting a little more erratic, perhaps your patience is very, very short. You're not feeling like your normal self, you are stressed out, you're maybe overly tired. Any of these things are showing that you are not in alignment and that you're not centered and you're not operating at your best self. That is a clue. In fact, it is a flag waving that it's time for you to spend some time taking care of yourself. And I have tons of videos about different ways that we can take care of ourselves and how we can figure out how to best take care of ourselves. But today we're talking about feeling mama guilt when we realize that we don't really feel good about ourselves or we're not operating our best selves. And sometimes we'll notice it. We're snapping at our kids. Maybe we're snapping at our spouse, or maybe all of a sudden we're feeling depressed or sad and we don't really know why. It's very simple. We're out of alignment. And so what we can do in those moments, quite simply, is take some time to take care of ourselves, whatever way that's going to be. But then what ends up happening is that mamas start feeling guilty for wanting to take this time away from their families, wanting to spend some time by themselves, wanting to just, go meditate, go take a yoga class, essentially refuel and renourish themselves. Oftentimes mothers will feel bad for even asking for the time from their spouse or their partner, or even say, for example, wanting to leave their kids at daycare a little bit longer so they can, after work, just go have a cup of coffee by themselves and just, relax. Whatever it is, mamas often feel guilty. And what I'm saying is that it's fine to feel that feeling, because it's really hard to unattach to the feeling, but let's flip it around to make that feeling trigger something good. So the next time that you start feeling guilty, I want you to start by asking yourselves a couple of questions. So the first thing that you could begin by asking yourself is, why do I feel guilty? Why do I feel guilty? Because what you're trying to do in this moment is see if you can, if you're clear enough and centered enough, and I know it can be challenging, to figure out why it is you are feeling a certain way. So if you're feeling guilty, why are you feeling guilty? Okay? And often the next question that will come to mind is you feel like maybe I'm not spending enough time, right? So then my question becomes, how much time do you need to spend with whom? Maybe fill in the blank: kids, spouse, work, parents, taking care of parents, with your friends, whatever it is you're feeling guilty about. You feel guilty about taking the time away. Ask yourself, how much time I'm going to insert kids here as the blank. How much time do my kids need? Okay? And I want you to write these things down. Do not have these things floating around in your head. Actually, take out a pen and a paper. If you have a Mama Love planner, use that. Take it out and figure out and write down that question. How much time do my blank need? And we're going to use kids as an example. Figure it out. Daily, how much time do you want to spend? Monthly, how much time do you want to spend? Because then we start making things concrete. Because oftentimes we're feeling guilty about things that we're already handling it, we're already coping with it, we're already dealing with it, or we find out it's just plain irrational. So we want to basically break it down and actually put pen to paper and see, okay, so every day I want to spend about an hour with my kids, right? That's, especially during the week. So during the week, let's say for those of us that are working moms, that's 5 hours a week. So if you're spending the 5 hours a week, you're going to set that as a goal and you're going to look at it. So then the following week, I've spent my 5 hours or I've spent my 4.5 hours. Mama, I deserve some time to spend by myself, right? What I'm trying to do is help you see how you can manage often what is an irrational emotion or a useless emotion. So you could actually constructively look at how much time you are spending with the person or the thing that you're feeling guilty about. And if for some reason you don't spend enough time, now you have flagged it and can actually work on it. So instead of sitting around feeling guilty, we can take actionable steps to change that pattern and therefore get rid of that emotion, right? So another question you can ask yourself, the second question, is what would be an acceptable amount of time? So, look at your life and see whatever area that you're feeling guilty about taking away from, figure out what is in fact an acceptable amount of time. Not the sky's the limit amount of time, right? Because time is a finite resource. What is an acceptable amount of time? We all have a limited amount of time. We don't have time to do everything. This is very key, and that's why a planning system is so important, because we have to manage our time. Because there's so many things that we want to do. But what I'm telling you, and why I'm always going to get on here to say, is that you have to take care of yourself. You have to take care of yourself so that you can actually do all the other things that you want to spend time on. So you need to figure out what is an acceptable amount of time for whatever is making you feel guilty, whether it's spending time with your children, whether it's spending time with your spouse, and then do something about it. So for example, if you feel bad because you're not spending enough time with your spouse, make it actionable. Decide, every other week, we're having a night out, a special night out, a big night out. Or, every couple of days, I'm going to make something, my spouse's favorite food, or I'm going to send him a note. Whatever it is, right? You then turn this emotion of guilt into something that is now a reason to better your relationship or make your life better, and you're not stewing in this emotion of guilt which you can't do anything about, right? Because most people attach to it. So another question that you can ask, right, which is the flip side of what I just asked, is how am I nurturing and building this relationship? Oftentimes, mamas and women feel really guilty about taking time away from their kids or taking time away from their partner, their spouse. So look at all the ways. Sometimes it's basically you taking inventory. How am I nurturing and building this relationship? What am I doing to make it better? And if you notice that there's gaps and that's what's making you feel guilty about taking time to spend on yourself, that's when it becomes something that you can do and become actionable about it. You can then set goals and priorities to spend more time nurturing and developing that relationship, while meanwhile setting similar goals to nurture and develop the relationship with yourself. And the last thing I kind of want to talk about is, especially when we're talking about mama guilt and why it is something that we should go ahead and just release, but notice when it comes up, is if you start feeling guilty about taking time to take care of yourself, then start to ask yourself, what messages have I heard around guilt and sacrifice as a mother? What stories? Yay, thanks so much for joining. Yes. Hi, Sarah. What messages and stories have you heard around motherhood? Like, what unconscious script is playing in your head that's making you feel guilty for taking care of yourself? Because oftentimes, again, the way that we're feeling and thinking, especially when it comes to guilt, it's a wasted emotion. We've attached ourselves to some story or something that's making us feel bad, but letting it go unexamined is not helpful. It's not helpful for you, and it's not helpful for your family. It's not helpful for your children. So I'm really encouraging you, when you have moments of mama guilt, when you have moments when you feel like I don't feel good taking the time away from my family to do something to bring myself back into alignment, to make myself more centered, to love on myself, to nurture yourself, I want you to ask these questions again. 1, what could I do to not feel guilty? 2, how much time do you need with X, whatever that is that you're feeling guilty about? 3, what would be an acceptable amount of time? Again, we're trying to make sure that we have a rational mind about it. All the time in the world, we shouldn't give all the time in the world to our children and our spouses or our partners or even our jobs. We have to take some time out for ourselves. So look and see, what in your mind are you thinking is actually an acceptable amount of time, and is that rational? It says, even though I'm not a mom, I really need to hear this today. Self-loving care shouldn't bring about guilt. Exactly. And often we just feel guilty because we're not used to taking care of ourselves. And as women, society really has conditioned us to think we're supposed to give everything, all of our time, all of ourselves to whatever it is in service of other people. And so I really want to flip the script to have people really look at these things that are making them feel this way and think this way, that are preventing them from taking care of themselves. And so just go ahead and ask those questions. I'll put them in the comment section so that they'll be there, so that people can download them or look at them or whatever, write them down later. But I just wanted to pop on to continue in my releasing the mama guilt emotions, so that we can take better care of ourselves, so that we can engage in self-loving and self-care activities, and just really, really try to flip that emotion on its head, because it does us no good. Guilt is just judging ourselves about whatever we're feeling, and that gets us nowhere. So instead, let's try to take concrete action, get to the root of what we're truly feeling, and then take steps to really put ourselves in a better position to spend time on ourselves. So that's it. Thank you so much for joining. This video should be in my Instagram Live for a while. I'm going to try to repost it on Facebook, but I'd love to hear your comments. I'd love to know what you think. Make sure you're following me here at Carmel Bella. And if you're still interested in my Mama Love Planner, which helps with self-care, I'd love for you to grab it right now. If you use the code free ship, you actually get free shipping on either the daily or the weekly editions. And again, thank you so much for watching.